Hi there, good to see you, be with you. I want to share a little bit from a story out of John's Gospel, chapter 11. I think it's a story you probably know a bit about. It's the raising of Lazarus. And I'm going to jump in towards the end of the story. You know how Jesus hears that Lazarus is dying, or he's not well at all, and one of his best friends. I always thought it a bit strange that they come up to Jesus, says Lazarus was your special friend, and said Jesus loved Lazarus, and when they heard he was ill, therefore he waited 4 days. I'll come back to that in a minute. I hope my friends don't sort of say, well, I will come when I'm ready, but I wonder why he did that. Anyway, John chapter 11, verse 38, Jesus comes to the grave where Lazarus is. Then Jesus, again groaning in himself, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha, the sister of him who was dead, said to him, "Lord, by this time there's a stench, for he's been dead 4 days." Jesus said to her, "Did I not say to you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God?" Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead man was lying, and Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you that you heard me, and I know that you always hear me. But because of the people who are standing by, I said this, that they may believe that you sent me." Now, when he said these things, he cried with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come forth." And he who had died came out, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was wrapped with a cloth. And Jesus said to them, "Loose him and let him go." Amen. God bless his word. I think it's interesting, really, that why would Jesus wait 4 days? I'm not sure, but sometimes, God does things in his timetable rather than mine. Some people say, and I think it's probably credence to it, is the Jews used to believe that almost when somebody died, their spirit hung around the body for a couple of days, and maybe people who appeared to have died came back from a coma or something, but so they actually believe the spirit stayed around for 2 or 3 days. And so when Jesus arrived after 4 days in the grave, then Lazarus was dead, and everybody knew he was dead. So he was come to someone who's dead. And it's interesting too, just for heading into the main reason for looking at this story, when he turns up, Mary and Martha, who they're special people to him, and the truth is, even special people to Jesus have hard times, because life is hard. Life is just hard. Life isn't hard because I'm a Christian. Sometimes think, oh, it's hard being a Christian. Life is hard. You ask people who haven't got Jesus in their life. Life is hard, but we have the comfort that Jesus will come to us at some point in that difficulty. And he turns up and he says to Martha, but about Lazarus being dead, she said, "Lord, if you had been here, he wouldn't have died." That's fair enough. And then Jesus said, "But he'll rise again." I said, yeah. In the resurrection, in the future, he'll rise again. I think it's interesting, almost, it's easy to have faith for the past, and almost easier to have faith for the future. If you'd been here when it happened, in the future something will happen. But Jesus was actually asking, is anybody here going to have faith for now, for today, for something that works out for now? Because I am the resurrection and the life. Not I will be, I used to be, I am. It's almost, we have to live in today. And what we do today determines tomorrow. We can't change yesterday. We cannot be certain about tomorrow. But what we do today will change our future. So we have to have faith to believe that God can use us to do things today and work out his will. And I've got just one thought. If you want to go make a cup of tea with the rest of this, do so. But listen, this is what I'm going to try and say to you is that when being a disciple of Jesus means he wants us to do what we can do, and he will do what only he can do. Being a disciple of Jesus, a follower of Jesus, is a partnership. And so there's things that he wants us to do. For example, here we are with Lazarus. He raised him from the dead. And there's other resurrections in the Bible, like Jesus' own, for example. And when Jesus comes to Lazarus, there's a stone in front of the tomb, the same as there was in Jesus' tomb. And he says to, I don't know who he says it to, he says, roll away the stone. I don't know who got the job. What I do know is that when Jesus was raised from the dead, the angels moved the stone out of the way so the ladies could get in. You think, well, why couldn't you do that this time? Why? I mean, that would have been very effective, wouldn't it? If they just stood there, an angel came and moved the stone away. My goodness, that would have got everybody's attention, but he didn't do it. Why? Because there were people there who he wanted to partner in the miracle. And I don't know, maybe he said, you four fellas, and maybe it's ladies as well, equal opportunities, and whatever, said, you move that. And they'd have moved the stone. It'd be a big job. But I tell you what, whoever was part of moving that stone, they partnered the miracle that changed their life forever. And so when people say, like, he wasn't really dead, say, hey, listen, I moved that stone away. We didn't we? Oh, there was something died in there. There was a terrible stench. It actually smelled really, really, really badly. He definitely, somebody died in there. Something had gone on wrong. And I saw a miracle. I was there. I opened up the door. I saw something. And God sometimes lets us do what he could have done himself, but he knows that we can do it, so we can actually partner in the miracle. And then when Lazarus comes out, but they move away the stone, and Jesus does the bit that only he can do. He says, Lazarus, come forth. I think it's interesting that he's made sure it's just Lazarus. Because imagine if Jesus just said, come forth. It'd been like the day of the zombies. All these dead bodies have been coming out of every grave. But he said, no, only this one Lazarus. Only the rest of you will have to wait. Lazarus, you come forth. And he says and does what only he could do. And next minute, Lazarus comes out, bound hand and foot, and his face would all be sort of covered up too. And then Jesus says to him, loose him, unbind him, because I don't want to be pessimistic, but the truth is, if they hadn't helped him, that should be a very short resurrection, because he can't breathe. Can you imagine saying, hey, remember we were at Lazarus' resurrection? Oh, yeah. Shame didn't last long. We should have taken the mask off him and let him breathe. So they took it off, because they could do that. I've noticed sometimes when people become Christians, they have no problems whatsoever, but usually they need a little bit of help taking the grave clothes off, or the hurts of the past, and being able to breathe and to give them life. So Jesus is saying, listen, I want you to do what you can do, and I will do what only I can do. Now, what you can do might only seem a little thing, like taking a face mask or bandages off somebody's face, but it'll save their life. But you're part of a greater miracle. What we do, what we can do, and he does what only he can do. Remember, another instance would be, remember the wedding, the first miracle is often mentioned at weddings, we often talk about weddings, the wedding in the Cana of Galilee, when Jesus turns up, and the hosts are already embarrassed, they're running out of wine, and Jesus turns up with 12 men, and that's not good when you're running out of things. Mary must have been related to the family or something, because they come to Mary and say, what should we do? What should we do? And ask Jesus to help them. And it's interesting that it's not my main point, but we're thinking that some people think you can pray to Mary and bless. I don't think so. I think once you're dead, you're dead. But almost if you could, what would happen? Because here's an instance when people said, won't you ask Jesus to do something? I know what she said. There he's over there. Go and ask him yourself. So I think if you could, and I don't think you can, but if you could pray to Mary, she would say, there he's over there. Go and ask him yourself. And they had like pots, empty pots, big high things. I don't know what 30 gallons looks like, but they held 30 gallons each. And that's like 240 gallons empty, just sitting there. And the wine's all gone. And they come to Jesus and what should we do? And what Jesus says, go fill those pots with water. That doesn't sound much, because we'd probably get a hose pipe and do it. I don't know how long it'd take, but if you're the person, the little boy or little girl probably, whose job it was to fill those things up with water, you thought, what? 240 gallons? You know, I have to take a bucket, I have to drop it down a well, I have to pull it up, have to carry it in and bring it back and forward and back and forward. That's a huge, boring job. I know sometimes partnering with God doing the miraculous has just been faithful, doing something that other people might think is a bit boring. And they went back and forward and back and forward. And they did, because So Jesus didn't need to do that. He could just say, see those empty jars over there? Go and have a look. Hey, look, they're filled now. There's a miracle. It's just as easy to fill an empty vessel with wine as it is to turn water into wine. Except there's a little girl or boy who's going to say, I partnered in a miracle. You know, all you have to say was just all water. No, it wasn't. I fixed it. Nobody helped me. Probably complained. Nobody helped me. I did it all myself. But I guarantee you, I filled those things myself. We did, didn't we? We filled it all. Took us ages, an hour. It might take an hour to do. I don't know. But we worked hard and we did it. And we did what only we could do. And then Jesus did what only he could do. So I want to encourage you that you might sometimes think, I'm not sure I'm doing very much. I'm just doing a little bit. I make the teas and coffees, or I do something at church. Trust me, when you do what you can do, he will do what only he can do. I'm sitting my conservatory outside my garden. I'm not really a great gardener. I'm one of these people, I like a nice garden, therefore I do gardening. But every so often, during the summer, we had nice weather and you have to water your garden. And I've got 6 grandchildren now, and 2 of them are twins now, there's 6 now. And they come over quite a lot, but not during COVID, but other times during the summer. When I'm out in the garden, it takes me 25 minutes really to water my garden, all pots and, you know, it takes ages, but it takes about 25 minutes. When Zoe and Zara help me, it takes about an hour. 25 minutes on my own, an hour with help, because it's quite hard work. I love it. I mean, I love it when they're out there with me and they say, right, you hold it. I said, don't point that at me. And I have to, sometimes the tubs, I have to pour water back out them because they've overdone it, and I have to stop them pulling flowers up because I think they're weeds, and I have to stop them watering weeds. But to say just and it's great. I can see their little faces. I can see as they're helping me, as they're working with me. They're so happy, and I'm really, really happy they're helping me. I am. They're in and out of the shed fetching stuff there and back, and then they go into the kitchen and they say to Granny, we've been helping Grandad. And they're so proud of themselves. And then Granny says, so where's Grandad? Well, I'll tell you where Grandad is. Grandad's tipping extra water out the pots. He's going around putting all this, because they empty the shed. I mean, the whole shed is emptied. So there's another half an hour putting everything away. But, you know, it's worth it for me. It is worth it for me to see the little faces and see them so happy and helping. And maybe it's overplaying it, but I think sometimes God smiles at us and thinks, yeah, I'm going to let you help. I'll have to sort it out when you're not looking, but I'll let you help. Why? Because I am maturing you into being someone who feels loved, wanted. I'm showing you how to do something. You won't do as well as me, but you can do it. And I'm teaching you how to take responsibility, how to do things. And I take pleasure out of seeing you being happy. And that's what the Father wants to do for us. He takes pleasure in us, in helping us do things as Granddad's little helpers. And I think this is a great thought. I think it's a great thought for me. Only an almighty God could allow imperfect people like me to do things in an imperfect way and still bring about his perfect will. I'll give you that again. Only an almighty God could use an imperfect person like me, who does things in an imperfect way, to bring about his perfect will. Now, 2 more thoughts. I think the way God deals with this and tells us what to do changes. The jobs I give my grandchildren changes as they get older. And say, for example, when they were little, when children are 2-year-old, it's almost like when twins, quite hard. We used to come towards a road. I am paranoid. I don't know. I don't think I worry about my own children as much as I worry about my grandchildren. I'm grabbing their hands like this. Stay with Grandad. Stay with Grandad. Don't. Children can pull really hard when you're getting older, and they pull me apart and say, stay there. And we come to the pavement and I say, stay here. There's cars coming. Cars. People, it's almost like cars, they're trying to kill you. These people, they'll knock you down as quick as look at you. Stay beside, stay safe. No, you have to hold my hand. It's almost like children will hold your hand anytime except when you want them to, won't they? So I'm standing there, I'll be careful, and I'll take them across the road, and I get there side, I'll just feel, thank you, Jesus, that's one of the hardest things in my life. But when they're a bit older, when they get to like 5, I'll say to him, stop, wait at the, number one, just wait for Grandad. But number two, just when you get the curb, stop. I want you to stop. I'm not holding them back. We've taught them they have to stop, wait at the curb. I'm not treating them as 2-year-olds anymore. I'm treating them as 5-year-olds. Saying, stop there, and wait for me. I better get there, we cross the road. And actually, my eldest granddaughter, she's 12 now, and we were somewhere not that long ago, and we're crossing the road, and she just took my arm. I said, Nevaeh, stop it. She's trying to help me across the road. I'm thinking, you've gone into a completely different stage. I'm okay, thank you very much. I might be getting on a bit, but I can cross the road on my own. But the way I deal with her is quite different to how I deal with other children. The way God speaks to me today, hopefully, is quite different to how he spoke to me 10 years ago. Hopefully, he doesn't have to be quite so pedantic in the way he speaks. He should be able to speak to you and to me as if we are maturing. We should be able to listen and able to understand his voice better. So when he tells us to do things, that he doesn't have to sort of almost elaborately tell us, but almost he doesn't need to shout at us. He needs to whisper, because we've learned to hear his voice. And so one of the signs of a maturing disciple is that we can hear his voice without being shouted at, that we've learned to listen to him. Because the final thing I'm going to just share with you is this: we're on a journey. It's not true that when you become a Christian, suddenly, bang, all your problems are gone and you become perfect. I wish that was true. I wish there was one prayer I could pray: God, take away every bit of sin and bad stuff in me and make me a perfect person of yours. But it's not, because worship is an act of the will. God's not made us robots, so we have to do it. He could have done that, but he's chosen to give us free will. And I'm thinking of the Apostle Peter, and you know this story, how Peter, he sort of let Jesus down a little bit, didn't he, towards the crucifixion. He denies he knows Jesus. He swears at somebody, which is not great for a pastor, is it? And he lets them down. That must have played on his mind. I don't know if you've ever done something you wish you hadn't done. I sometimes think, why did I say that? I wouldn't be swearing, but thinking that was silly, that was foolish, and I'd play things over in my mind. But Peter must have done that a while, and after the resurrection, Jesus speaks to him one-to-one, and he's got John sort of hanging on in the background. Yeah, have you ever tried to tell one of your children off, and the others they want to be around, not to support them, but just to check up. They want to hear what's going on. And so Peter's a bit humiliated, he's humbled. And Jesus asks him, Peter, do you love me with all your heart? And you know that there are different words for love. Agape means God love. And it only comes from God. And so you have to love God to be able to love people with that love. And then there's a philios, which is a stage lower. Maybe sometimes brothers and husbands and wives would use that word. But Jesus says to Peter, Peter, do you love me unconditionally? Now Peter, if John had asked him, he'd probably say, yes, I do love Jesus unconditionally. But he knows that Jesus knows the truth. And he said, Lord, I'm not going to say I've got agape because I've let you down. But I will say I have philios. So I really, really love you. I really care, and that's fine. And then Jesus asked him again, do you have agape for me? He said, Lord, I'm really a philios for you. I'm just a little bit lower than that. And a third time Jesus says, do you have philios for me? And he brings it down. And Peter goes, oh, that hurt. But Jesus wasn't trying to put Peter down. He was trying to say, listen, Peter, you need to know where you are. And sometimes being honest about where we are with God is the beginning of a journey on. Everybody seems to use Google Maps nowadays, but the first thing it asks you isn't where do you want to go. It asks you, where are you? Can Google Maps use your current location, sort of thing? And so, why? Because if I don't know where you are, the instructions I give you will mean absolutely nothing. Go up the top of the road, turn right, turn left. It'll take you the wrong place. And unless we are honest about where we are, then we will not be able to apply his instructions about where he wants us to go. But I tell you something, it's not in the Bible, but it's church tradition, history tells us that Peter was martyred for his faith. And when they came to martyr him, they were going to crucify him. And apparently he said, I am not worthy to die the death my Saviour died. And he didn't want to be crucified. And he was crucified upside down, which I think is even worse and more painful, because I think a man had moved from philios into agape. And if Peter was on a journey going from Philios into Agape, then so are we. There's nothing shameful about it. But we have to continue and keep growing on every day, loving him a little bit more, understanding him a little bit more, and wanting to do his will just a little bit more. So, to finish, let me remind you, God wants us as his disciples to grow in our understanding of him, to hear him in a clearer way, and to do what we can do so that he can do what only he can do. God bless you and take care.